You're a demon, apparently. Chapter 2. There was a long moment of silence as he processed what Father had just said. Demon? You finally asked. Yes, Father replied with a relatively innocent look. You're serious? Of course. This just kept getting weirder. Not only were you in some dank, apparently not a sewer, surrounded by talking horses, but now they also think that you are a demon. Swell. I'm not a demon, I'm a human. Father tissed indignantly. Do not attempt to trick me in some effort to escape our deal. I created this summoning circle myself. I do not make mistakes. Therefore, the circle worked as intended. And since it brought you here, that means you are a demon. Would it say humane anyway? I see through your lies, he proclaimed proudly. You just stared at him. There really wasn't anything you could think to say. Even if you did, he sounded so full of himself that he wouldn't believe anything you said anyway. Kinda like your boss, now that you think of it. And speaking of the circle, Father continued, it is likely my best work yet. Stroking his ego. Yeah, definitely like your boss. He waved a hoof across the room, with a faint glow covering the floor. It looked like the circle took up the whole thing. Hundreds of arcane runes powering a single spell, the possible of which is to summon an infernal being with as much power as possible. In other words, you, he said, pointing at you. Again, you stayed silent because of the sheer insanity of the situation. This was just so insane. Then again, none of this was real, so it was probably best not to take it too seriously. Father gestured to the inner circle that you were stood in. And don't think that you can escape. Those same runes power the seal, keeping you within that space. Attempting to cross the boundary would be ill-advised. I will only release you back to your plane of origin once the upheaval is completed. He looked around the circle again. Glowing shapes could be seen in even the furthest, gloomiest reaches of the room. The inner circle you were in was devoid of markings, and seemed to be just large enough for you to lie down in. There weren't any gaps that you could see, so you decided to play devil's advocate. Puns. Okay, so let's say I agree to this, and it works. You all overthrow these princesses and replace them with something. What's in it for me? Oh, yes, a sacrifice! I almost forgotten the excitement. Father stammered. His horn started glowing. It was blood red, but still kind of sparkly. What? You started, when suddenly one of the cloaked figures towards the back of the crowd was thrown into the air, enveloped in the same glow as Father's horn. The figure was carried over to your inner circle and unceremoniously dumped in a heap. As the figure collected themselves, you noticed something odd. All the figures wore brown robes and were generally in good condition. Father's own robes were immaculate with bright red trim, and it looked like it was even tailor-made. The one in front of you was clad in robes that were old and tattered, with randomly colored patches sewn on. Why was that? I hope this will be sufficient, Father stated, and his horn glowed again. The raggedy figure's cloak flew off, revealing another unicorn. Now, you were no vet, but this one looked unhealthy. Thin. Like, really thin, visible bone shapes kinda thin. Looked like a pale blue rag was thrown over a pile of sticks. I apologize for the quality of the sacrifice, but she is the only one that we can spare, he sighed despondently. We will need all of the capable ponies that we can get. But this one? He glared at the sacrifice. Expendable, he sneered. You just stood there for a moment, trying to process what was happening. And it failed miserably. And what exactly do you expect me to do with her? You finally managed to ask. Father waved a hoof. Whatever you want. Eat her, torture her, use her to sate your infernal aberrant lust. I don't care. You notice the skinny unicorn flinch with each tick off the list, but I don't care seemed to hurt her the most. You suddenly felt uncomfortable. At least more than you already did. There was a long, painfully awkward silence. No one really seemed to know what to do.
Well, we'll just give you some privacy to accept your offering.
Father finally squeezed out.
We'll discuss the details of our contract once you're done. Come along, come along.
The crowd slowed out a doorway behind them, and you caught snippets of casual conversation. It was like they all forgot that they were a demon-summoning cult, hell-bent on overthrowing super-powered royalty. What weirdos. Soon it was just you and Skinny. More awkward silence. The entire time her orange eyes never moved off of you, like molten copper peeking through her unkempt sea-green mane. So, what's your name? You ask, trying to break the tension. Skinny squeaked, but said nothing. Not that you blamed her, being a demonic sacrifice and all. To her credit, she stood her ground, despite the constant shaking. Kind of impressive, actually. You sat down, putting yourself at roughly eye level with the unicorn. You hoped that would at least put her at a little bit of ease. You were kind of grasping here as you had no idea how to calm down a panicked, sapient, magical horse. When you had made eye contact, though, she froze. Closing her eyes, she took several deep breaths. Then she puffed out her chest and met your gaze with a look of quiet resolve. She even managed to stop shaking. Mostly.
My name...
She stammered.
My name is Amber Gaze. With my name, I bind my soul to your service, and I am yours to do with as you please. Whatever you desire, I shall accept my life, only what you...
She just kept talking faster, louder, and higher, all without stopping to breathe. It was kind of impressive, really. Whoa, 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 whoa. Time out, time out, time out. You stop her before she passed out. She froze, staring at you in terror. It made you feel like a parent that found out that their kid broke something. You hoped that she at least stopped to take a breath.
Have I offended you, Master? I only meant to...
She sniffled, and started crying. Now you just felt like a dick. And you hadn't even done anything. No, don't do that. I just didn't want you to croak on me.
Yes, it makes sense. If I am to die, then it should be at your will alone.
She whimpered, wiping her eyes. Wait, what? No, I don't want to... Whatever. You were getting frustrated and weirded out. Freered out? Yeah, that seems right. You felt pressing the matter wouldn't get you anywhere, so it was just better to try and figure out what was going on. What was with all that? The whole binding your soul to my service and whatever.
I am your sacrifice. I am only good for what you ask of me. My life is meaningless.
She immediately replied, almost robotically. Uh-huh. And is there any way I can convince you to... not do that? You ask, rubbing your temples. Freered it out again.
I have given you my name. The pact is made and cannot be undone. I admit, I thought it would hurt, but...
She stopped, prostrating herself on the floor.
I'm sorry, I spoke out of turn. Please forgive me. I will accept whatever punishment you deem fit.
It's fine. Just don't be so hard on yourself. You were really freered it out now. Ember looked at you in surprise.
Really? No horrific punishment?
Nope.
Huh. I didn't think a demon would be so nice.
You sighed. Maybe it's because I'm not a demon, and Father fucked up. Amber flinched.
Well, Father doesn't mess up. Besides, what else could you be?
I'm a human, you replied wearily.
Is that a type of demon?
No, it's a kind of ape, I guess.
A demonic ape?
You can only groan. This was going nowhere. She had it in her head that you were a demon, and it seemed nothing was going to change her mind. Besides, you were getting too tired to try anymore. You studied her, not knowing what else to do. God, she was thin though, and it looked like there were some scars on her back. Some had faded to the point of vanishing, but some looked more recent. You began. Do they treat you badly? The other cloaked guys? The mayor blinked in surprise. She hadn't expected that kind of question.
I am treated how I deserve to be,
she said, looking away. That's not what I asked, and you know it. Her breathing quickens.
I'm treated as well I can expect to.
Bullshit. Tell me the truth. You sighed. Your master commands it. Saying that made you feel dirty. You didn't want to be anyone's master, but that's where you were now. Gotta play through. Are you treated well?
No. No, I'm not.
Amber finally admitted.
I'm only allowed enough to survive. And I am punished for my failures.
She glanced at her back.
I fail a lot.
Tears began to flow again. Damn it, you were getting emotionally attached to a dream horse. This was going to be in your minds all day. You were going to comfort her, but suddenly the door flew open. Father and the rest of the hooded figure strode back into your chambers.
Great one! Have you finished with... Oh. She's still alive?
Father said, surprised. He waved away a few ponies with mops and buckets.
Were you pleased with your sacrifice? Or...
He trailed off, glaring at Amber. He looked between the two unicorns. The tension was palpable. No, I was not, you said. Amber shrunk away as Father's glare darkened.
Ah, I see. I should have known that she wasn't even good enough for this. I'm certain that we can—
Silence! Your voice was quiet, but it boomed with authority that you didn't know that you had. For a moment, you wondered if this was some kind of special power, but really, you were just fucking pissed. How dare you? You dare offer the dregs of your order and expect it to be suitable? She has already been treated so poorly. What would be the point in torture? Hell, death would be the sweet release for her at this point. You roared. Honestly, you were making this up as you went. You weren't even sure why you were doing this, but it just kind of spilled out. All you could do now was just keep going and hope it sounded intimidating. It seemed to work, as the crowd looked like they'd need those mops any time now. You show me how you treat the least amongst you, and you expect me to give you the power to decide the fate of a nation? I may be a demon. You put on your best sneer. But even I have standards. Father looked like he wanted to say something, maybe to try and weasel his way out, but he was just too scared to make a sound. Amber was terrified, huddled as far away from you as she could, while staying in your circle. A few in the crowd fainted. I will not deal with you until you have proven yourselves worthy. You gestured to Amber. Until then, the one you have mistreated most shall act in my stead. She will speak with my voice, and commands from her is as a command from me. Is that understood? Father stared at you in shock, then nodded with a scowl. He backed out of the door with the others close behind. Amber couldn't hide her bewilderment.
Why would you do that for me? I don't...
She trailed off. You didn't know the answer yourself. It would have been better for you if you had just demanded to be sent back, but if you did, Amber would have been blamed. It all just happened. You couldn't help but notice that she looked oddly adorable. Maybe it was the sudden exhaustion washing over you. Your hand started to reach for her head without your input. Amber flinched at your touch, but immediately relaxed when you scratched behind her ears. She closed her eyes like she was in a trance. Does it matter? You asked.
No.
She mumbled, as she began to drift off to sleep. Probably the best sleep that she's had in a while. Your own eyes began to feel heavy. As sleep began to fall over you, you just kept scratching your ears. Huh, you thought. Guess this isn't a dream at least. That was your last thought though, before drifting off to sleep on Amber's bony side. At least she was warm. Well, at least you got a nice little fluffy, bony companion, but still a companion no less. Anyway, I'd love to give a very special thank you to my companions, my compadres. Top donator, Dash of Evergreen, Peter Coulthard, Dospo, RuneScythe the 9852, CourierCruz CI, Delta Omega, Ryanny Dragonwolf, Gagi, Secret Moon, Tallrascha, The Toilet Snake, SoulDragon, Starlight Glimmer, Squiddy Boy, David D. Sanchez, Trey, Dak Britton, Joe Piercy, Alex F., Rainbow Dash, James Dalton, and Teal K. Anderson. Thank you all very much for watching this video, and live life to the fullest.